this vlog, I will assess my coaching process. This will consist of myself coaching the clean to an athlete. This athlete has, however, previously performed the clean, so my session goal was to re-ingrain the appropriate movement strategy. When it came to my coaching process, I took a plan, do, review, and improve approach to my session. Firstly, I wrote the session, then I performed the session with my athlete and reviewed the footage afterwards. From this footage that I reviewed, I was able to identify my shortcomings, and then I set out to quantify the areas in which I needed to improve on. From some research that I conducted, I identified some far more appropriate interventions that I could have taken in my session. From this information that I collected, I used it to influence the planning of my next session. This athlete had previously gone through a 12-week coaching model from a top-down approach for the clean. Firstly, you can see in this clip, I'm going through some setup cues for the athlete when performing the clean. I've given some clear, concise cues where to position his feet and tell him to rise at the same rate, putting the bar back into you, moving upwards with a shrug, rotating and catching under. Now, as this athlete had already previously performed the clean in a previous speed strength phase, I took the assumption that he would be able to absorb this information quite quickly. The first mistake that I made was I actually asked the athlete to perform a different movement than the one that I actually demoed. This can obviously lead to some confusion for the athlete because I'm trying to get him to focus on one movement but getting him to perform a second. Also with my cues, even in this movement, I cued him to pull the bar in closer to himself, yet the athlete was unable to perform this, so it would have been essential for me to demo this movement more appropriate. Asking the athlete then to go perform the lift from the floor was clearly too challenging as the athlete performed the lift incorrectly. This is a result of me performing the lift from the floor, then getting the athlete to practice it from their hip, and then asking him to perform it from the floor again. There's too much confusion for the athlete here, and the instruction needs to be clearer, the outcome which I require the athlete to achieve. I'm also far too quick to step in and demo the movement for the athlete. It's important that the athlete actually performs the movement and practices it a few times. As if I'm always going in and demoing and giving cues, the athlete becomes dependent on my instruction. The athlete needs to learn the movement by practicing it and not being stop-started, which I have been doing in this session.
Dip down, go past your knees, slide the bar down, chest over the bar, and pull up, get your hips, extend through, that's it. Okay, and loosen that grip. Okay, let's go for the floor now, try it. So you'll pull slow to here. Once you get past your knees, it gets faster.
And made another mistake here. I told the athlete to focus on speed on the bar once he passed his knee. Now, even though the movement is predicated on speed, it shouldn't be focusing on speed here as the athlete is trying to improve the skill. By telling the athlete to move faster past his knee, I'm giving him too much instruction and too many cues to focus on, therefore not allowing him to perform the lift effectively. Now I recorded a slow motion video of the athlete performing the clean just to be able to show him the movement and have it slowed down so you can see how he's performing it and some aspects which we could potentially improve on. Then I gave the athlete some feedback on his clean using some video analysis. After reviewing my coaching process, I need to structure my coaching intervention as follows. I need to provide relevant coaching cues, demonstrate when the athlete needs to see a new demonstration, reduce the intensity if the athlete cannot perform with the load, and if needed, prescribe an alternative derivative exercise for the athlete.